how to set up your cluster. How to set up cluster. More specifically, multi-node cluster. Where we have two options. One, manually. The other one we have manually. This is something called without Cloud Run Manager. This is automated that is with Cloud Run Manager. Now you do in this way or in that way, in the other way. Definitely we need to have some prerequisites. You do in either way. We need to have some prerequisites. Look at this. Are you able to see this font?
Yeah, Srini.
Yes, Srinivas.
Yes.
So anyhow, I'm expanding, but yeah, I think this is more clear. So prerequisites includes this setup of CentOS on the bare metal box, setup of CentOS 6.x. You know very well. CentOS and your Red Hat Enterprise Linux both are exactly the same. I don't know whether you are aware of this or not. Have idea? Your CentOS and Red Hat Enterprise, whenever there is a release on Red Hat Enterprise, you have a release on CentOS also. Both are exactly the same. And this is the subscription model. And this is the community edition. Both are exactly the same. Both are exactly the same. One is free and the other one is the paid. That's the only difference. One will have support, the other will have only community support. This is going to be dedicated support. So usually on the production clusters, we may be going with enterprise, Red Hat Enterprise, maybe to do your POCs or development, testing and all. We may be going with CentOS, of course. Many organizations, they go with CentOS itself even for the production. But I'm just telling you, both are exactly same, no difference at all. Every new release of Red Hat will also have your CentOS. That is just a community edition, and this is an enterprise edition with. So hope this is known to you. If you are not aware, please have a look at it. So as part of the prerequisite, CentOS 6.x, that being freely available, set up or install this on the bare metal box. Set up this on the bare metal box. If you are doing it manually, then only we need JDK 1.7 and above, 1.7.1, 1.7.2, like that is needed in order to get a CDH working, that is Cloudera distribution for Hadoop working. So this is the Cloudera distribution only, whatever we are doing now. One is without the help of Cloudera Manager, and the other one is with the help of, that is the reason why we are calling this as manual and automated. Check it out if your JDK version is less than 1.7. Please uninstall that and install 1.7 and above. 1.7 and above. So if you are doing it in the automated fashion, I don't think JDK installation is needed. That is going to be taken care. That is going to be taken care by the Cloudera Manager through its own service. But for that sake also we need CentOS to be installed on the bare metal box. And what is the next thing? Need to decide which daemons need to be set up on which node. Which daemons need to be set up on which node. We need to have that planning. Which daemons need to be set up on. We need to have the planning. At least the rough sketch we need to have. Planning in terms of the services. Or the daemons. In terms of the services or the daemons. So we need to have that plan. I mean, where your name node need to be set up, your secondary name node need to be set up, and of course you know very well data node and your task tracker. If it is your resource manager, then we'll have something called node manager. Your name node, your secondary name node and data node, how these are being set up, that is what we call it to be your HDFS service. Your resource manager and your node manager or your task tracker. That is the case, we will have a job tracker. How these are going to be set up? This is what we call it to be mapped or yarn services. Yet another resource negotiator, yarn. So that we need to have some idea. Maybe for that sake, I may be thinking of going with, please observe this one closely, friends. Not an issue, one second. What I did here was, look at this one. Your guest OS is your CentOS, and I have dedicated 4 virtual CPUs. It's called vCPUs, and memory is around 12 GB. 12 GB. You see that here. I'm powering on that. So my idea is to set up a Cloudera manager on this one, and through that I want to set up. That is the automated mode. That is what the original plan. So this, if you take keep it separate, this master, whatever we have, you see this master also we are turning on. You see the console of that. What is getting started?
CentOS.
CentOS 6.7. That is what I mentioned, 6.x. CentOS. Here you see root and the password we have given here. So this will not have any UI. No UI will be there. No UI will be there to this. Purely like your traditional server only. There will not be any UI set up for this. So we'll have only the command prompt. We'll have only the terminal access. No UI is being set up. Now my idea is on this master I want to set up my name node and my resource manager, and on one of the data node I want to set up the secondary name node, and any of my data nodes will have node manager and the data node on all these four. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was my plan. So how the cluster is going to be now? How the cluster is going to be? Either in the manual mode or in the automated mode. There is one master which is being set up by me. This is for the master where I want to set up my name node and my resource manager. And I will be having multiple. This is called my data node 1, where I have my node manager and my data node demo. And I will be having the same one more. I have taken 4 for the reason I want to see the replication and all that aspects even. Node manager and your data node. This is my data node 2. And then I have my 3. Node manager and my data node. This is what I call it to my data node 3. My node manager and my data node 4. What we call it to be slaves, and this is what I call it to be my master. You know very well your entire Hadoop is master slave architecture is being met. Master slave architecture. So what needs to be set up where? We have that clarity. Of course, where history server needs to be set up. Where history server needs to be set up. Through history server only, we were able to track what are the jobs that are being executed and what is the outcome of each job, how many tasks been executed and where those tasks been executed. All those details you'll get from history server only. History server is going to maintain or manage the details about the jobs that are being executed. So demands on the slave, something like this. So and to this I am also going to assign. To this I am also going to assign even the IP addresses. I am also going to assign the IP addresses. Of course, apart from this, what other thing that we have set up is there will be something called the manager part. That is what additional thing we have. On this, we are going to set up actually the Cloudera manager. There's one thing additional. So I have given the IPs like this: 192.168.159.39. You can give whatever you like, friends. And of course, all this being taken care by the system admin actually. That is not your responsibility as a Hadoop admin. That is all the responsibility of your system admin. He takes care. So given an IP 39, to this I have given IP 40. This is going to be my 41, 42, 43 and 44. So how you can give this static IP? Any idea? Of course, this has been taken care by the admin. We are least bothered. Tell me how this is been given.
You provide the name and then the name and the IP address and in the DNS, right?
In the DNS server, we are going to configure these things. We are going to map this one to make this to be locatable through your name rather than the IP address. That is only name server, domain name server to locate your machine with the name rather than with the IP. But how you are going to assign the IP address to the machine? How you do that one? Any idea?
No, Srinivas.
That is the reason. Yeah, friends. That is the reason why I discussed, something about the Linux part also before. Some of you might have felt that why all these things needed. See, on the typical environments, I mean, that is what I noticed in many of the, entry-level Hadoop implementations. You cannot expect we will have a system admin. We organization may have a number of system admins, but especially when you are trying to set up, a small POC and all, we cannot expect, those resources will be dedicated to you. If at all, if possibility is there, that is absolutely fine, but we cannot expect. And it doesn't mean that taking that into consideration, we become a system admin now. The basics we need, I think you see here, network configuration. You are going to specify all the details at this level. I think you are noticing here device configuration, ETH0. You are going to specify very clearly what is that? The static IP. You notice, dear friends, 192.168.159.39 is a permanent IP that is been given to this. We need to take out from DHCP, from Dynamic Host Control Protocol. So each time this gets connected, of course, as these are going to run forever, the lease period till it is going to be released, the same IP will be there. But we cannot make the services to run properly with DHCP. That is been, I think you notice, dear friends, you notice that when I use DHCP, the down automatically got disabled. When I deselect this one, they get enabled. You notice that? Of course, this is all been taken care by the system admin. Assigning an IP and all is their headache. It's clear?
So basically you run the network configuration on the server and set up the static IP.
Exactly, exactly. You can see that one here. Right. You go to, you just say setup. There you go to network configuration, device configuration and DNS configuration both. The device configuration, your ETH0, that is the Ethernet card, that is the first Ethernet card, because you can have multiple Ethernet cards to your machine. That is also there, ETH0 and ETH1. So there we are, disabling DHCP. That is the reason why we are able to assign a static IP to that. Default gateway also we specified. You want to give a name, that is also possible. Here you can give the host name. We can give the host name here. We can give the host name here. So this is how you are going to do it. Once been done, so what is ready with us now? A bare metal box, a bare metal box, a bare metal box loaded with CentOS, assigned with an IP and a name. It's been done. IP and name, both been done. You see here, we have two options again. At this level, we have two options. Usually, we prefer the second one. But here in our case, as we have fixed master data node 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have a Cloudera manager. These are being fixed. 6 nodes are being fixed. I don't want to go with separately a domain name server and all. Even if it needs to be set up, that is going to be taken care by the system admin. That is not our headache, friends. Don't worry for that. DNS setup and all is going to be taken care. Hope you have the understanding of what we mean by DNS. What is that? Domain name
server.
server. So what this do? What this domain name server do?
You can name a server.
Resolve the name to IP. That is what it is going to do. See, communication happens only with the IP. Communication only happens with the IP. But as remembering IP is going to be a tough thing, we usually prefer names. So resolving the name with the IPs is going to be taken care by the DNS. And why we go with the DNS server is, DNS setup is, now this is what the cluster we have, and your need increases. You want to add 2 more data nodes, 5 more data nodes, 10 more data nodes in the coming days. Then whatever the procedure we are following now is going to be a very, very tedious process. That is the reason why we go with the DNS. So with DNS and without DNS. Why we go with DNS and without DNS? Again, if our cluster has got a fixed number of nodes, then we go with our process now. Whatever I am showing you now, we go with that. If the cluster is going to be dynamic, what do you mean by cluster dynamic here? What do you mean by cluster dynamic here?
You can keep adding more nodes.
Yeah, keep adding nodes. Keep adding nodes on demand. Then whatever we are following, this will not work out. But as we fixed our mind, now let me show you that one, then you'll be able to understand. I go over here, /etc/host. If you see that, what is been done by me here? 39 is manager, 40 is my master, 41 is my data node 2, 3, 4. These details are being published inside my file called hosts under etc. Now the similar information is also needed inside your root at master slash etc slash. So who am I? I am a root on the master. If config. So you look at this one closely, you understand. INET address is 40. And so this is what is present on my 40 machine. I go out of this one. You see here, if config I say, and this is my 39. Even here also what we have, in the host file we have all the details. Now imagine friends, in the dynamic mode what I am saying here, we keep adding the nodes. We add 2 more nodes. Of course, if this information needs to be kept in the newly added nodes, then we don't have much problem. Not only in that, even the newly added node details also must be updated in all the existing nodes. That is also required. Are you following with me, friends? If information needs to be kept in the new nodes, that is fine. Anyhow, we are bringing in, we put the information. We also need to update all the existing 4 or 6 nodes, whatever we have here, all must be updated. It is very, very painful. We add another 4 nodes in the coming days. Yeah, please. Sunil.
Sorry. I mean, why we need to keep that information in all the nodes
Otherwise,
about the other nodes?
yeah, otherwise, identifying each other in the network is not possible. How I come to know that these are the other things available here? How I come to know that one? How other hosts or nodes can be locatable? Is possible?
Okay. I mean, if we go, I mean, manager will not have.
No issue. I take this one. You.
So Srini, just a thought. So even in Dynamics, suppose I add nodes, I can actually push the updated host file to all the data nodes, right? To all the servers. I can push it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I can
No.
Okay.
See, if you are able to push that one, you are adding 2 more nodes now. Already you have 6. You are adding 2 more. 1 second. Okay. So you are already having 6 and you are trying to add 2 more now. Now these 2 details needs to be published to all the existing 6. And now existing 6 has got these details and these 2 also has got all the existing details. In future another 4 we are trying to add. Then what needs to be done? These 4 details need to be pushed to the existing 8 and existing 8 details needs to be kept in these 4 also. Now I think you are able to understand. Simple, friends.
Yeah, I got it.
There is no complexity here. I tell you like this. You have taken a mobile, you have purchased a mobile phone, fresh new one, of course. We will not find a person like that. But imagine, you have purchased a new mobile today and you have taken a number to that. Whose responsibility to publish this number to the world? Whose responsibility to publish this number to the world?
It's my response.
No, who is responsibility?
Right?
Who purchased the
So
phone? Yeah.
it is not the responsibility of the service provider to publish your number to everyone. You need to call everyone, saying that this is my number. Okay. Now tomorrow, if your number gets changed, again you need to republish. In order to avoid that thing only, you have something called telephone directory. What telephone directory will have? The updated information. Every time I want to, of course, telephone directory we will not refer. You take an organization. Organization provides mobile numbers to every of the employee. Tomorrow, for some reason, if one employee number is been changed because the employee is been moved to a different department, that is why the number got changed. Instead of me updating, that is what I think, friends, you understand clearly, your desk extension. You are not going to publish your extension to everyone. Maybe over a period of time people come to know, then they directly dial you. But even if you don't know, also no problem. You can reach the receptionist and tell your name and ask to connect. Then she takes care of connecting to the respective. Even if you are being changed every day, no problem. I need not update everyone in the office. A receptionist is been updated, then is sufficient. That receptionist and the telephone directory are just nothing but your DNS. I hope you got the sense what I am trying to share here. Of course, this is the responsibility of the system administrator. We need not, but we need to have the understanding at least. Because you need to talk to the system admin saying that I need this from you, I need that from you. That also, if you are not able to request, then you cannot continue as a Hadoop admin to get your things done. Continue as a Hadoop admin doesn't mean in a different sense. What you need to continue with your implementation, that you need to be clear. What dependencies, that also you need to be clear. Then only you can get those things from them. Hope this DNS is clear to you now, friends. If that setup is not there, then what is the alternative? What is the alternative? So that is what I am saying here. Ping my master. I am able to ping my master right here. See here, ping master. I am able to ping from my manager. You see that here, friends, clearly. Ping my master or ping 192.168.159.40. Which is more easier to remember, friends? You can ping like this and we can ping like before also. Which is more easier to me? Saying ping master or
Name, with the
ping?
name.
That is the reason why we
Resolving the
require
name.
DNS. Now I think you are able to understand what we mean by mapping. See, ultimately your communication happens only with the IP address. No change in that. Any communication between two systems happens only with the IP address. But on the top of the IP, we are trying to map with the name so that it's easy for us I mean to the humans, to identify the machines. The actual identification of the machine is done with the IP address and the human readable identification is done with the name. And in order to resolve these two things, we require a resolver called domain name, a server or a service, or we require this information to be mapped inside your host file. So any of these two things needs to be done. Hope you understand, friends, what this information means. We can also configure DNS to resolve the hosts. Why we are doing all these things? Whether all hosts are able to be pinged with each other or not will be, if we are able, that is what I checked here. That is what I mean by publishing this information inside your etc host file. Why we need to do that? Now see here, I am going to my, don't worry about this as such, I talk in the next, okay. I'm going there, ping manager. I'm able to ping the manager from my master. I'm able to ping. So I think you noticed, dear friends, from here to there and there to here. So things are clear to you now, what we have discussed till now. See, whatever we have discussed till now, common to both manual and automated mode. And even next few steps also. That is why be clear. I'm not going to discuss these things again and again. So I will go straight away to the setup. I will go straight away to the setup using your Cloudera Manager binary file. So the next thing, that is, are you clear with this one? Still we are in the prerequisites only. Still we are in the prerequisites. Any questions to me, friends?
No, Srini.
Fine.
No, Srinivas.
So the next thing is we need to stop the firewall and disable SE Linux. We need to stop the firewall and disable SE Linux are the two things that we do. And why we need to stop the firewall and disable the SE Linux? So I bluntly say, do this one and you do that, that is over. But we need to have the understanding, right? Why we need to disable, why we need to stop the firewall and disable the SE Linux. We need to have the understanding. Any of you has got the idea, friends?
No, Srini.
You can
No,
communicate from outside the firewall, right? Otherwise, you cannot communicate to the servers. At least the ports have to be enabled so they can communicate to the servers.
Yeah. But truly speaking, this will not be done. We will not, in the production environment, we will not stop the firewall and disable SE Linux. Instead, we are going to configure them. We are going to write the rules. We are going to write the configuration files and they will be enabled. Firewall will be working and your SE Linux also is being enabled, but still we make things to happen in the true production environment. But as it is going to be a challenging thing as a Hadoop admin, what we do is we take we take the extreme step of stopping the firewall and disabling the SE Linux. But we should not do that. We should not do that. I'll tell you here. A true Linux admin will not stop the firewall. Instead, he opens the required ports which the Hadoop services are going to use. You know very well, friends. Name node, your secondary name node, your history server, and all these things, they run on a specific port numbers or they listen on specific port numbers. So Hadoop has dedicated specific port numbers to each, on which the UZI server needs to run 11,000, on which your name node needs to listen, your secondary name node needs to listen, your hue need to listen. For all these things, fixed port numbers are being dedicated. So what usually the Linux admin will do is, he is going to open up all those ports that are needed. He is going to write the rules or the access control list, that is called ACLs, to make these ports accessible. I hope you are following what I am trying to share with you here. We write the firewall rules or ACLs to make the ports accessible. By stopping the firewall, we are making all the ports accessible. That is what we are doing. To make our work simple, what we are doing is we are stopping the firewall completely. And how you stop the firewall? We stop the firewall in multiple ways. has been shown by me. You go to the setup there, and you're going to check the, deselect the IP tables, and you're going to restart the Ethernet. Then you will be, networking. Then you will be able to see the firewall has been stopped. The same can be done. Service IP table stop. We stop the IP tables now. IP tables nothing but your firewall only. And check config IP tables off will make your, even if the, see, when you say service IP table stop, this will work till this node is running. Once it restarts, then again by default IP tables been enabled at the BIOS level, at the startup level, not at the BIOS level, sorry, at the startup level. So it again starts working. Then you will be facing the challenge. That is why not only stopping that one, we are also disabling it to get started during your booting process, during system startup process. That is why we are using check config IP tables off makes your service. I think you notice, friends, that we came across this one even some time back. Sunil?
Yes, Srinivas. Yes.
Where?
When we are trying to start the services on boot.
Absolutely. During boot process, if your services needs to be started, I think we use that time this check config. What the service you want that to be started as part of the boot process, that you can, right? Good, friends.
Yes.
Good. So how you make your
So Srini, just one question here.
Yeah, please.
One question here.
Please.
So normally we open a port or we open something in the firewall only if something from the outside needs to talk to servers which are within our DMZ or the network, right? So, but all the hosts for this cluster are within the same network. If I'm not having any outside resources talk to this host, then I don't need to enable anything on the firewall, right?
No. Even within the network also, because where the firewall is enabled, the firewall is enabled within the host, right? Every host. See, I tell you like this, then you will be able to understand. Now, a particular service or a role running on particular node needs to communicate with one more service running on. I tell you like this. When you request your job tracker to make some job to be executed, job tracker should internally communicate with the name node. Why it needs to communicate with the name node? Because name node only will come to know where you are required, where the given path and the associated blocks are located on the cluster. So your job tracker needs to communicate with the name node. Name node is running on one host and your job tracker is running on a different host. And job tracker needs to communicate with your task tracker, and your data node needs to communicate with the name node. So this all communication is needed across. Then the ports needs to be accessible from this host to the other host, that host to this host. So even in that case, you will be, I'll give you one more command here down, then you'll be able to understand. See here how you write actually. You look at this one. So this is accessible. I think you see here, if you keep your port open like this, your 8080 port open for Tomcat server, then this 8080 port on this machine where you are running this, where you are writing this rule is accessible to anyone, let it come from outside or within the network. Hope you are getting my point here, Arun. But if I write a rule like this, then you are specifically targeting that if the traffic is coming from this network and subnet, then only your 8080 on this machine is accessible. If the request is coming from the subnet other than this, then it is not been accepted. So what do you understand from that? So even within the network, even within the same network, restrictions are there. If firewall is being enabled or if firewall is running, you have that restriction. You got my point here?
Yeah, got it. I got this. Okay.
So that is the reason why we are trying to stop your firewall. But if you know clearly, as a Hadoop admin, of course, we'll come to know clearly that one. That is the reason why I mentioned in the beginning what services, what daemons you're going to make them to run on your cluster. We'll be very clear with those things. So we know very clear what are the port numbers and all for that. I will be giving you the list of the port numbers, probably as a part of one document, or in the same document I'll be providing you that. Don't worry. Fixed things. From Hadoop perspective, we have the list of the port numbers. For what that is, we have that list. So if all those ports are being enabled, based on your need, you are going to write these rules, like writing rules, nothing but this one only. And after all these been done, you say save, then all these rules are being saved. Then you can start making those things to be accepted without stopping your firewall. That is possible. And who is going to take care of this one? This all is going to be taken care by the system admin. But we need to have the understanding. As a Hadoop admin, what is IP tables, what is firewall, and why it needs to be written with the rules, all those things you need to have the understanding. You are going to ask the system admin saying, I want this port to be opened on all these machines. You should be able to ask that, convey that one. That is the reason why you need to know that. And what is SE Linux? What is SE Linux? Anyone has idea, friends? What is SE Linux? SE Linux.
Standard Linux.
Pardon?
I said standard Linux. Standard version.
I think it is some security for Linux.
Yeah, security enabled Linux. That is what SE Linux is. Security enabled. And you see here, you have a file by name config. I think you notice that one here. Config. This is where we are going to do the configuration. There we have SE Linux. SE Linux. What is that? Disabled. So we need to disable SE Linux. But in the true productive environment, we are not going to disable this. So basically, for what purpose this SE Linux is been enabled? For what purpose this SE
Basically,
Linux
it controls the, it enables you to edit your security controls, right?
Exactly. See, you have your file system, right? Enabling or disabling all these things is going to give the provision or privileges to access your file system. Nothing more than that. See, if this is disabled, anyone can access any part of the file system. Anyone can access any part of the file system. What do you mean by anyone can access any part of the file system? I think you know, friends, very clearly, when your services are being set up, which services are being set up, your Hadoop services are being set up, like HDFS, there will be a user called HDFS user, mapped user. So we'll be having different users created, and those users are going to make use of your file system. Which file system? Your local file system. When your local file system is going to be used by the Hadoop services, we need to make your file system to be accessible even to Hadoop services and Hadoop users created as part of its setup. So for that sake, what we need to do is again the same old story. We need to write the rules, do the configurations in such a way that that is also been taken care. How that is been taken care? That is where I am saying here. You see, a true Linux admin should configure the rules to enable Hadoop services access the core operating system file system. We can write the rules inside SC-Linux enforce config files to disallow the services to access the core file system. I hope, I think you are following with me, friends. See, I don't know whether you have gone through this or not. So all your Hadoop related things we noticed, user lib Hadoop and all you have. What is this user lib basically? Is your core operating system file structure, right? It is not the file structure that is created by your Hadoop services. User lib. You noticed, friends, as part of user lib /user/lib, as part of this one, we have seen, of course, nothing has been set up on this. That is why we are not seeing anything called Hadoop related things here under user lib. But in the pseudo cluster that we have worked, you notice that inside your user lib we have Hadoop, we have a Hadoop mapped, we have a Hue, we have Hive and all those things. You noticed? You recollect that one? Sunil.
So basically every user is set up as a has his own file system under user lib, right? So HDFS user will have HDFS, Hive will have Hive.
No, not file system. So those services will access this file system during when you are deploying those services. I am going to tell you what we do in the next steps, then you will be understanding better. But when you are trying to deploy the services onto the cluster, then in the user lib, the respective directories are going to be created, and those are made available through your user lib only. And user bin, user S bin. I think you noticed when I say Hadoop and I press enter, here it is saying command not found because it is not there. But when being set up, this Hadoop, where this Hadoop is available, check it out with your pseudo cluster. Hadoop is available in your user bin.
Yes.
So usually these binaries which are related to your Hadoop, they are also being maintained in the same directory structure. And when you are deploying the services, you are going to create directories. You, in the sense, when you're doing it manually, you need to create and give the access. But when you're doing it using your Cloudera manager, so the respective users are being created in the background, and with those user privileges, the respective directory structures are being accessed. If this SC Linux is enabled, that is not possible. I mean, security is being enabled to the Linux, so your directory structures are not accessible the way you want. So that is the reason why we are disabling that one. so that we can make your entire file system accessible. But as a true Linux admin, we will not be doing that. What we'll be doing is we will be writing the configurations in such a way that the required directories or the file system is accessible to the various services that are going to run on your respective nodes. That is the reason, friends. Usually we are not going to install the default CentOS on your nodes. Default CentOS that we download from the respective site. We download from internet. We will not be setting up this default CentOS. What we do is this CentOS what we download is going to be customized. And what we customize? What we customize?
Securities.
Your firewall and your SE Linux, that's it. Rest of all it is the same. When we customize your CentOS like this, the same CentOS we are going to install it on every node. Then there will not be any problem. And we need not worry about your firewall and your SE Linux whenever you are bringing new nodes into the cluster. Are you getting my point? That is the reason why I mentioned it very clearly in the beginning. We need to have an idea of what services, daemons and all that you are going to set up on your cluster. Okay, so that you come to know the ports and all, you come to know the file system that those services going to access. Why I'm saying all these things, let me start my VM. That's not a problem.
So how do you customize your CentOS? Because you need to install it on a machine and then you got to make the changes, right?
Yeah, we create an image and the same image we are going to use it every time.
Oh, you want to just copy the image to the other servers?
Yeah. So what we do is we set up that one on one machine and we customize whatever you need and take the image of that one, and same we use it to get set up on every host that we bring in future. Make sense?
Yes.
So we don't do this one. We are going to set up, we are going to customize the CentOS and keep that available with us. Of course, that is also going to be taken care by the system admin. He takes care of doing that. Because setting up of the CentOS on the bare metal box and make that to be accessible inside the network or cluster is all the responsibility of the system admin. We need not worry for that. So hope things are clear till this level, friends. This all is a part of prerequisites. All a part of your prerequisites. So any questions to me on what we discussed now?
Yeah, just one question, a little different. So
No
problem. If I need to implement address encryption, that is a disk level encryption, is that also done by the system admin?
Now come out again. What is that?
If I have to implement addressed encryption that is on the disk, so after installing the CentOS, on the disk,
yes,
is the system admin going to be doing the encryption also?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So the Hadoop admin does not do the encryption?
No. Hadoop admin will not do that. No.
Okay.
The Hadoop admin will not do that. So here, if you see, after all these prerequisites are being met, we need to make sure on every node. Now, how many nodes we have on the cluster? 6 nodes we have on the cluster, what we planned. One is your manager, the other one is your master, and you have 4 data nodes. Altogether 6 we have. I think you have seen those things here. We have 6, all these 6, you see that here. All these 6. One manager and one master and your data node 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 6 we have. The immediate definite thing that needs to be taken care is the date should be in sync. The date should be in sync. Why the date needs to be in sync? Of course, date in the sense that includes time also. I need not tell that specifically. Why the date needs to be in sync?
Because if you're going to schedule something, then it should be in sync, right?
Yeah, very appropriate. Anything more the better than that? Why date needs to be in sync across the cluster?
Because I mean, replication will be there, right? I mean, it should be whenever we are trying to fetch data or anything, it should be getting the same information.
Yes, in every aspect this date, because you know very well it is all time stamped based. You submit a job to the job tracker. You submit a job to the job tracker. Job tracker is going to push the same thing to all the task trackers where your blocks are present. Okay. And if the time difference exists between the nodes, then the communication can never be appropriate. I have my own time and you have your own time, and when things needs to happen, see, I set up my own time in my watch and you set up your own time in your watch, and you claim that yours is right and I claim mine is right, and we both need to work on something common, and you say I mean another 15 minutes more, you say already 15 minutes passed. You think it's possible to execute anything with this kind of time difference? I'm talking the real perspective. In the real perspective. So either in your watch or in my watch, the time should be same. Then the designated task can be executed by you. Otherwise, I put my own time and you put your own time, and we quarrel with each other saying that it has already been passed or it is yet to come. Things can never work out in that way. That is the reason why all the nodes across the cluster must be in sync with the same time and date. Then only the communication will happen effectively. Otherwise, this will not happen. That is the reason why here we have of course, because in the limited environment and all that is fine, but usually what big organizations they do is their own network. I'll make you to understand this one. I think we have here /etc/nt cat/etc/ntp.conf. Have a look at this one. Inside this configuration file, if you see closely, there is something called server, and this is been given. So during boot time, the configuration present inside this configuration file, it tries to fetch the time from this one. This is a server actually. 0.centos.pool.ntp.org, where it is going to fetch the, if that is not available, then the second one, third one, fourth one. From any of these, the time is being fetched. Now, instead of you relying on the external, you can set up your own NTP server, Network Time Protocol server, that is to your entire organization. All the machines in your network will have your own time being set up, and accordingly they are going to run. So you can set up your own NTP server and make all the hosts in that network to be in sync with that NTP server. If you don't want to do that one, then you can, in every host, you can make this to be configured so that all will be in sync with that time, date and time that is being. But that will not be in your control. That is a public one. You only can access it to make all your hosts to be in sync. But you want your own specific, then you are going to set up. What we are going to set up? Your NTP server, Network Time Protocol server, and all the nodes or the hosts are going to be in sync with that. Hope you are getting my point, friends. Make sense? We store the
Yes.
data and we run the jobs on the nodes across the cluster. Timestamp uniformity is needed to have consistent information. Otherwise, it's definitely not possible to make your services to run across your cluster. That is the reason why date should be in sync. I think you got the point. And you see here. This is the important step as part of your setup. Passwordless entry. I don't know whether you notice that or not. Whether you notice that or not. Where I am now? Where I am now? Where I am now? I am on my 39. You know very well what is 39. Is my master.
Master, yeah.
With the root. And the current directory is this one. From here, I am saying SSH root at the rate master. I'm able to directly go there without giving any password. And I'm saying here SSH root at manager. I'm able to come back. Are you getting my point here, friends? What I mean by passwordless access or entry. Without giving any password. I'll give you a classical example for that. Don't worry for that one, friends. Here, I have my yes, running on my 15 IP. I say open. It is asking me login as root, and it is asking me to give the password. I give the password, then only it allows me to go inside. But it is not the case, right? And even here you see SSH root at master. SSH could not resolve hostname master. The name or service not known, it is saying, because /etc/host not having the details about that one. I hope you are following with me, friends, what I am trying to share here. Right? So what been mentioned by me before, if you look at that one closely, under your user /user/lib, if you see, all your services, you have Hadoop, you have Hadoop HDFS, you have HBase, HBase Solar, Hive, HCatalog, Hue, Impala, and you have Mahout, you have Uzi, Paraquat, Pig, and you have Sentry, Solar, Spark, Scoop. You see here? Are you following with me, friends? Zookeeper and all. Vir. All these are your Hadoop components, and inside each Hadoop, you see here, you have something called bin. What is that we have? Start mapred.sh, stop mapred.sh, and your Hadoop is present here. When I say Hadoop, Hadoop of course is present in multiple. You are saying Hadoop FS, Hadoop FS -ls, you say like this. So you say how you are able to access this one, your Java C, Java and all this stuff, how you are able to access. Same like you are also able to access your Hadoop, because Hadoop binary is present as part of your path. I don't know whether you have this understanding or not. This is a part of your path environment variable, friends. You can see that here, which Hadoop, if I say, it is going to give me user bin Hadoop. User bin Hadoop. I think the point what I was mentioning before, hope you are able to understand what we are trying to do here. Or I mean, why SC Linux is that needs to be disabled. If it should not be disabled, then we need to write the rules, I mean the configurations inside the files to allow your services to access this core OS file system and make the changes to that even. So that is needed. Hope this is clear, friends, to you. Now coming to this passwordless entry, how that is going to be done is by generating the key value pairs, and make the public key, the key value pairs, public and private key value pairs. Make the public one to be distributed to all the hosts so that the handshake is going to happen. I mean, each is going to authenticate. Yes, I know you, you know me. I know you, you know me. That is something like that. So for that sake, what we do is, at the terminal, probably on your manager or on your master or maybe on a different node in the cluster, we are going to use this SSH-keygen, and we need not do anything and keep press enter and all. It is going to make your key value pairs to be generated into your .ssh. I don't know whether you have this understanding or not. At the root level, you see here cd.ssh. Inside this you see id underscore rsa, id underscore rsa dot pub, id underscore rsa, id underscore rsa dot pub. And pub is nothing but the public, and this is private. id underscore rsa is a private. I'll be keeping the private key, and I'll make all this public key to be spread across the host. Whenever the communication is happening using this public key, I understand, oh yes, it is known to me. So no worry, this can be allowed to access, allowed to log in without giving any password. So while creating your public private key value pair, what I am showing you here, we should not give any password. Passphrase, it is going to ask you to give the passphrase, that you should give it as empty. So your communication is going to happen, login is going to happen with empty passphrase, and you are going to distribute this id underscore rsa.pub file to all the places. So let me go to your, this is a manager. You exit from here, you see in the master also cd dot ssh, and there you see what is that we have. Of course, here we have done is, what we have done is we have created that one on both. That is the reason, I mean, we have sent both the things to both, but we only need to distribute your id underscore rsa.pub. Only that file is sufficient. So I think you noticed here, ssh-copy-d, and we are saying dot ssh id underscore rsa.pub to your root directory where your master, your data node 1, 2, 3, 4, to all those places at the root level you'll be having dot ssh directory. Into that, this is going to be this RSA id underscore rsa.pub file is going to be pushed. When that is being pushed, you can understand, you can look into your authorized underscore keys file. When you look into that cat.ssh, that is, we are already inside this authorized underscore keys. If you see there, so all the keys are being kept here: manager key, data node 1, data node 2, data node 3, data node 4, so that no specific authorization is required to log in or to access this one. Authorized underscore keys. And you also see here known hosts. Known hosts also, if you see in the known hosts, these are going to be enrolled automatically. I think you see here in the known hosts, they are telling 41 is known, 39 is known, 42, 43, 44. All these are the known. In the known host file also, these are being engraved so that your passwordless communication is possible across the nodes of the cluster. Are you clear with this one, friends? Are you clear with this one?
Yes, Srini.
Copy the generated public key to all the nodes. Copy this generated public key to all the nodes. Then we can make, and that is where how I am going to confirm or decide that yes, passwordless entry is happening. We can say here we are in the master SSH root at manager. If I say, if I'm able to go straight away like that, we say the passwordless entry is enabled or is possible between these two nodes. Hope you are clear with that, what is being discussed now. And the next one is, we need to make sure that the internet is available to all the nodes in the cluster. Why internet needs to be made available? Because we want to download this RPM file onto every node. Of course, we can download it onto one and distribute to all the other, but it is good that internet is enabled, because when we are installing using your yum, it is going to check all the dependencies. It is something like Maven. I don't know whether you have this understanding or not. Maven kind of implementations, when your projects are implemented through Maven, so any dependencies are there, it is going to automatically download those dependencies from the repositories and make, we need not take the pain of downloading individually and the respective versions and all. We need not take that pain or headache. That is going to be taken by Maven. Same like using your yum. Usually you install the services or anything on the cluster using yum. Then we will not be having any pain to get even the dependencies and set up on your machine. So that is why internet needs to be made enable or made available, so that we can download the RPM file. Once the RPM file is been downloaded using wget. What is the purpose of this wget? What is the purpose of this wget? I think I've already shown you here. We don't have the GUI access. If you have the GUI access, then we can go there and open the browser. In the browser, we can give the URL. You get the file and you click on save. It will be saved to the downloads, and there you go, and you can start installing that one from the terminal. But when we don't have the GUI access, we are going to work with the wget, and you give the URL, and it is going to make that file to be downloaded in the absence of your GUI. And I use yum to install your RPM file. When you install the RPM file using your yum, all the necessary and their dependencies also going to be installed. That is where I am specifically mentioning local install, so that it is being made available locally on that particular. Hope you are clear till this level, friends. If you have any query, please let me know, because now we are entering into the next section. Of course, all these not required. Whatever we have discussed till now, not required. Which are not required? Which are not required? This one, downloading your RPM file on every node and installing that one is not required when you go to your automated mode. When you go to your automated mode, we have a different style there. We see that one. But when you're doing it manually, so till this level, either manually or through the automated mode, till this level, everything is common. That is the reason why I thought, see, manual thing is not at all required. It is only my interest to make you to understand how manually your cluster can be set up and how it can be set up without having or undergoing all that pain. So to have that clear difference only, we are trying to see both. Anyhow, you like it or you don't like it, I need to discuss till here. If I'm able to discuss a few more aspects, then you'll also understand how usually you're going to set up your services on the cluster in the manual mode, and the same thing in the UI mode. We are going to see the UI mode, then you'll be able to understand how easy and effective that is going to be to set up your services using your Cloudera Manager binary file. So till here it is the common. It is a common. So from here onwards, it differs now. From which point it differs? From this point it differs. We are going to download the RPM file and make that RPM file to be installed so that we can start, installing the services, the respective services on the. Now from here onwards, we are going to go to the respective nodes and execute the commands, not like by large. Till now, whatever we have done is applicable to all the nodes in the cluster, all the hosts in the cluster. But from now onwards, I already mentioned it in the beginning that we need to decide which daemon needs to be made available on which host. How you decide that one? Based on the resources that you are given. Say for example here, if you go to your data node 1, I have given 4 virtual CPUs and 8 GB of memory. If I go to my master, here I have given 4 virtual CPUs and how much? 12 GB of RAM. So I think you understand, friends. Depending upon the availability of the resources only, we are going to set up the respective services or daemons on it. So any question to me, please feel free to ask so that we can finish those things before we move on to the next concept. I'm not interested to boost here saying that, we are the only one who are going to teach all these things to you. But believe me, friends, take any other program from anything, I don't think you'll be able to see the detailed, even Linux is definitely not a part, but as a Hadoop admin, we need to know all those things. We may not be doing it. Now, writing the rules for your IP tables and your security enabled Linux and, and setting up your NTP server, we will not be doing all those things, but we need to know. If we don't know our environment and our surroundings, then we will not be able to survive easily. So what is your role, your job, your responsibility, and what you can expect from the system admin or the network admin? If you are not clear, then you're gone. You cannot, you may not be able to ask because you're not sure whether it is the responsibility of the system admin to provide that or you need to take care on your own. That is the reason why all the aspects I'm trying to discuss in detail, even though they are not related to you, but you need to have the understanding, the basic understanding, then you'll be able to wisely think. And if you want to go deeper into those things, yes, you're free to go. How to set up a NTP server and how to set up your DNS and how to configure your CentOS to make it to work as expected by configuring IP tables and SC Linux and all, that you can do it, not an issue. But that is not the responsibility of the Hadoop admin. Out of your interest, you want to go through those, you can definitely go through. Any questions to me, friends?
No, Srinivas.
Yeah, fine. If no questions, we move on to the next one. So you know very well what is the first service that needs to be set up on the cluster. So we have seen that one practically during the startup of your pseudo cluster and even during the shutdown. What is the first service?
Zookeeper.
That is the reason why we are doing this one. We are installing the Zookeeper server, and how you install that one is, yeah, I mean these steps are going to be common, friends. Let you install any kind of service or server on your cluster. But only thing is you need to go to that node and run those things. Not like, sitting here you do everything. No, you need to go to that. How you can go to that node? You can easily go once everything is been set up. Like how we are going here from master to manager and manager to master without any password. We'll be able to go easily with respect to nodes and get these commands executed. Yum install m-y install zookeeper-server. And we need to keep certain directories var lib zookeeper. What is why we need to create these directories and all, friends, here? Why we need to create these directories and all? Because these directories are going to be used by your respective services. Where you are setting up those, there only we need to create these directories and make this to be owned by the zookeeper role. And that is the reason why you are seeing that one, var lib zookeeper. So what is that we are doing? We are initiating this zookeeper service, and we are starting that one. So hope this is clear what I mentioned.
Yep.
Zookeeper server, and then we are going to install the name node. How we are going to install the name node? We are going to install the name node. Where we need to run this command, I'm just telling you here the terminal, it is hash, and we need to run this command. But where we need to run this command, where you have decided to set up this name node, there we need to run this command. Are you following with me, friends, what I'm sharing here?
Yes.
Now, you may ask me, why we don't do this one in the real environment is for the reason, even you do it in the automated fashion, it looks automated, but without your knowledge in the background, all these things are getting executed. The only thing is they are happening through your UI so that they are less error prone. But when you choose a particular node to have this service to be set up, in the automated mode, what we are going to do is, I think I've already shown you, friends, how we are going to set up the Flume. In the last discussion, I've shown you how data ingestion can happen through Flume. We are going to set up that service, and using that service, you are able to ingest the data into your HDFS by configuring your Flume agent, which I have explained you in detail. So if you look into that one, you understand what is that service, your Flume service, right? When you are adding that one, it is asking you to select the host. And how you are selecting that host? In the UI mode, right? You recollect, friends, what we have discussed in the last session?
Yes.
I think slowly your energy levels are coming down.
No, Srinivas.
I understand. Because it is more
Just thinking when you're
yeah.
trying to recap.
Yeah. Because that way you need to, of course, listening is also painful. I don't say that listening is that easy. But definitely compared to the listening, teaching is more tough because too many things need to be bought. I mean, we need to focus only on this. No other option we have. If we go 1 second out of this, everything will get disturbed. So keeping attention towards the same for those many minutes is definitely a tough thing. So equally tough to listen the same because you also need to put your focus here to visualize everything and try to digest. I say equally, but we need to undergo this pain. In the last discussion, if you recollect, we have seen very clearly, right? We have set up the Flume service because Flume service was not there as a part of your cluster. I think you noticed that. We have set up that one. Flume service we have set up from our end. And how we have set up Flume service? By going to your Cloudera manager. By going to your Cloudera manager, there you go to the cluster, and on the cluster we are going to say add service, and you can specify the service that you want to add. You can specify the service that you are going to add service, and you are going to select the service. See, the same thing what we are doing now is happening. I select the service that is called Flume and I say continue. Here it is going to ask on which host you want to set up this service. So what is the dependency for this one? Your HDFS is the dependency for this one. So where it is asking select hosts, here we are going to select in the UI mode. I'll be having you in a multi-cluster node. You will be seeing multiple hosts here, and you select on which host you want, one or many, depending on your requirement. You can select that. But the same thing when you are coming to this one, what we are doing, we are going to that particular node and running those commands. Now, what is going to happen here in this mode? When you select and say okay, then this particular service will be set up on that one by running the respective command on that node. Instead of you doing it manually, you do it in the automated fashion. Are you getting the point? Able to see the difference between the manual and the automated? What we are doing here?
Yes, Srinivas.
What we are doing here? Tell me what we are doing here. Here we are going to the respective yum install Zookeeper server. Where we need to run this one? I need to go to the host. How I can go to the host? I've already shown you. You need to go to that host and run that command and create the directory structure there and change the ownership for that one and make the service to start from there. But if you're doing it in the automated fashion, in the background, without your knowledge, these commands only will run, but you are going to choose those things to happen in the UI mode. That is the only thing. So that it will be less error prone, more manageability. That is the only thing. But ultimately, that is the reason why I am taking the pain of explaining you to work both with manual and automated. See, there is only one thing called manual only. There is no such thing called automated. Automated is the layer on the top of manual to make your things more easier and less error prone, so that we can have more control in managing your services. That's the only thing happening. So we don't have two methods. There is only one. The other one is a wrapper on the top of the existing one. I hope this makes more sense to you. Same like how we installed your Zookeeper server, we are going to install the name node, we are going to install the secondary name node, and we are going to install the resource manager, we are going to install the node manager, your data node and the MapReduce also on the respective nodes of your cluster. I hope you are following with me what I am sharing with you. Now I think you understand, friends, why I asked you to download this on every node and run this one or install this one, because this is the one which is going to, because we are going to each node and we are saying this one. How come yum install Hadoop yarn resource manager that has been identified and that has been installed? Because in the before step, this is being download this RPM and install this on every node, and do the same on every node on the cluster. I think you are getting the point. One second, friends. Okay. So when you make this RPM to be downloaded and installed on it, that knows very well how these services needs to be installed, what dependencies are required, and all those things been taken care. That is the reason why we need to do this on every node on the cluster. But the same thing, we do it in the automated mode by making these parcels to be moved to all the nodes. I'll be showing you that one, friends, when we go over there. So what we are doing it here manually, the same thing we are going to do it using your Cloudera manager, using the UI features, nothing more. But when we are going to do with the UI features using your Cloudera manager, you need to get the visualization. Oh, so I have chosen this one. I have chosen this node to set up my service. Okay. So what commands might be getting executed in the background on that particular node, you should get that visualization. Make sense, friends?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes, Srinivas.
So after that, see that this is how you are going to install all the respective services and all, so which we need not worry much, and we are going to see all those things. You are going to install your history server, and in the same sequence, friends, we need to do all these things in the same sequence. Then we need to install the Hadoop client package, and why we require that? With that only we will be able to access Hadoop FS and all the services we are able to access only by installing your Hadoop client package. And after that, we need to deploy this HDFS. What we mean by deploying this HDFS, we only installed, friends, now. We only installed the respective services now. We need to deploy those services. Deploy, I mean, we need to create certain directory structures and make your configuration files to be made available in the respective directory structures and keep the configurations inside those files. Then you need to start your services. Till now, I think you noticed, friends, only Zookeeper is being installed and its service is being started, but all the other we have only installed. We haven't started those services. Why we haven't started those services? Because in order to start those services, we need the respective configuration files. I think I've already shown you, friends. When it comes to your HDFS, you have core-site.xml, HDFS-site.xml. These are required. When you come to your MapRed, site.xml, your yarn-site.xml, all these are required. Those are called configuration files. That is what we are doing. That is what we are doing here, friends. When it comes to your deploy HDFS, we are creating this kind of folder structure and making this to be available, and there we are configuring the properties. That is your, see here, inside /etc hadoop conf in your core-site.xml and hdfs-site.xml files, we are going to keep the respective properties. What is the file system name. I think you see that one here, the same. You see that. So here you see core-site.xml. In that file, you'll be having the core configuration. That is a common configuration for all the HDFS. In that, you will be seeing what is the default file system, what is the thrash interval, what are the compression codecs available, what is a security authentication, what is a security authorization, and Hadoop RPC protection. All these are called the properties. Those properties needs to be kept inside your XML files, and those XML files need to be kept inside the respective conf directory of your Hadoop inside your ETC. This all needs to be done manually. And once this is done, the same core site XML, HDFS site XML need to be copied to all the data nodes under this same directory structure, because all needs to have the same configuration files. All needs to have the same configuration files. Hope you are getting the point, friends, what I'm trying to share with you here. Make sense?
Yes, Srinivas.
Slash data. One second.
Srini, will you be showing these on your cluster?
Yeah, that is where we are going to see this one. Now here you will be seeing this on the manager. On the manager, we have something called I think you are noticing here. This is using your Cloudera manager. We'll be seeing how we are going to set up all those things. How you are going to set up all those things. You set up your Cloudera manager on one node, and using that Cloudera manager, how other services can be set up. Now, there is no Cloudera manager now in your manual setup, right? That is why we are doing all those things manually. But when you come to the automated mode, you are going to set up your manager first on one particular node, and using that manager, we are going to configure all the services on the respective nodes and make them to start and work as expected. Got the point, friends? Arun, able to understand? But by running,
yeah, I got it. The only thing is, I mean, you're going a little fast on this, so I'm trying to keep up with information overload.
no problem. I advise you to go to, because no. The issue with this one is Arun. That is where I briefed you in the last before session or 2-3 sessions before I mentioned it. Because these things, if you divide into two parts, then you'll be losing that continuity. See, that is the reason why I want certain things to happen. That is the reason why this automated thing I don't want to do it in the today's session. I want to do it in the next session only. So by the time we come to the next session, we might be clear definitely once you go through the video where you have that glare, where you are not clear. If you can go through the video once again, so you'll come to know clearly where we started this discussion and how it went, to what extent we went. So if you can draft the outline of this entire thing. Anyhow, I'm going to share this document, whatever I'm using in the class, the same I'm going to share with you, so that you can understand. Of course, at every point level, we have discussed very in detail. That's a different story. But the overview you can get looking into the document. You want to have a detailed thing, you can go through the video, so that when you are working with your automated setup, what might be happening in the beneath layers. See, maybe you are clicking on something, but how things will happen? Something needs to be executed in the background, right? Then only those things will happen. So what might be happening, we will come to know clearly once you go through whatever we are discussing in the today's class. You got my point, Taran?
Yeah, got it.
So Srinivas, will we be having any environment where we can set this up, or I mean, how does it work? Can we do a practical on this, or we just need to see what you are doing?
No, practical may not be possible because you will not be able to access this cluster. That is all, this is not been set up in the public actually. So that is the reason why I have connected to my network using my VPN and I am trying to access that. That is not, may not be possible for me to give you the access to the cluster to set up this from everyone end. Practically not viable. Hope you understand. Maybe to look at that, to access that one is okay, but setting up is definitely tough.
No, what I was trying to ask is like right now we are using Cloudera Quick Start, right?
Yes, yes,
And virtual environment where we are able to do our practice sessions and all
yes,
those
yes,
stuff.
yes,
So
yes.
do we have anything of available where we can just set this up on one node, similar
One node we
environment
cannot.
like
One
cloud?
node we cannot. One node we cannot. No. One node is nothing but this one only, right? One node is nothing but
Correctly.
this one only. But if that is the case, I can help you out in one way. I can make you to download the CentOS bundle and make all these things to happen on the same node. That can be done. That can be
Yeah,
done.
that's what I'm asking. I mean,
That can be done.
environment which is available for free and it can be
Yes, yes, yes,
uploaded.
yes. Can be done. Can be done. So same like how we have set up this one, right? This what we say the bundle, the VM bundle. Same like we can have a VM bundle for Cloudera, for CentOS downloaded, and that is using that CentOS we can set up the other things. That is okay. That is possible. All these experiments can be done, but only thing is all services will be set up only on one. Um,
Node.
if your resources permits, I advise you to have two Cloudera instances running on your box, then it makes more sense. If your resources permit, two CentOS VMs running on the same and each configured with its own IP, then you'll be able to see more detail. I can run through those steps if you want. I can run through those steps. I can give you the understanding of that. Same document,
Okay.
same document.
Mhm.
In the place of 6, you can have 2. All places
Okay.
will be having only 2. One is a master and the other one is the slave. We can have the setup so that at least we'll be very close to the production or the real-time setup. Very close to that.
Okay. I mean, can you provide like what is that resources needed? I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
resources, I mean, like, we will not be downloading anyhow big bundle of CentOS. We'll be trimmed version of the CentOS because we don't need GUI and all, so it doesn't demand much space and all. I'll give you that one. Remind
yeah,
me.
configuration.
Yes,
Yeah, just give the configuration details and we'll see if the RAM and hard disk space are available
will be
for us.
definitely. I think your 8 GB of resources will be more than sufficient to set up that one.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay, Srinivas. Yeah.
So you
Because
can
I
see
mean,
here, you can see here at the root
theoretically we
level.
can
Yeah.
understand, but if we do practically, then we'll get an hands-on experience, right? So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
reason I was.
I'll definitely make you to get that. Even I'll help you out to get this CentOS bundle, the trimmed bundle, set up 2 instances on the same, and how you can make up from the same document. Document will not be different. The same document, because you are now following this document carefully and understanding all the things in a very phased manner. And if it is a different thing to this environment what we are going to set up, then a lot of variation comes. So will be the same. In the place of 6, what I am explaining you now based on my current environment, you can trim it to 2. One is a master and the other one is a slave. Instead of having 4 slaves, you'll be having only 1 slave. That's the only difference.
Got it.
So like how we have this directory structure here, if you see, of course, permission is denied because we cannot sudo HDFS slash DFS slash name node, and you can see that here. So these are, I have already shown you, I don't know whether I have shown you this or not, but this is a file system image and these are the edit log files, so what we have. So in order to make these, this directory structure available to maintain your respective files, I will be doing this one. I think you are seeing here what I am explaining you. I create a directory, create local directories. Why I need to create these local directories? I need to create these local directories to make my distributed file system name node, distributed file system secondary name node to write the respective data to that one. Are you able to understand, friends, what I am showing you here?
Yes, Srinivas.
Why this directory structure? Because this directory structure is present on my local file system. Why this directory structure is required on the local file system is to make the respective services to write the files, file system image files and your edit log files. Same like when it comes to your job tracker and the task tracker, how it is going to write the respective files to the local file system. For that sake, this local directories creation and their ownership and their modes needs to be changed so that it will be meaningful. Now, all this is going to be done with your UI changes at your cluster level. Don't worry for that. We are going to format the name node and we are going to start the name node service. We are going to start the, instead of saying name node service, I will be saying I'm going to start the HDFS service. So now I think you understand what we have done as part of this, the entire thing. Let me run through the steps once again. What is the first thing, friends? What is the very first thing that we looked in?
Srinivas, one question before you proceed. So what does this mean? I mean, format the name node. Why we are doing that?
See, to make sure that any existing data, because that is a local file system, right? See, if any data is present in that existing, and I don't want, like how when you are going to install your operating system on your hard drive, you are going to format that and then install it, right? So all the existing data will be thrashed and you will be having the fresh that is being set up there. There will not be any junk kind of thing. That is where we do. Even if you don't do format, no problem. But we are going to do format for the reason this cannot be done at any point in the later stage. If you realize something junk is there in the existing and not exactly this one, what I'm showing you here in the directory here, if anything else is going to come, then we don't have any option. That is the reason. Are you able to listen to me, friends?
Yeah. So question is like why we are doing it at almost now. I mean, why we are not doing it at the time of installation of setting up of name node?
No, because that time we haven't given the directory structure where this file system image and the edit log files needs to be written. We haven't given till now. We have only given in the configuration files. We have given only in the configuration files. We didn't allocated this one. That is the reason why we are creating the directory, those directories and all now here. You see that one where we are creating the directory here. You see that /data/1 DFS NN, that is name node. We are creating the directory now, and we are changing the ownership for the directory to your HDFS role and HDFS group, and we are changing the permissions to that. Are you getting this one?
Yeah, yes.
But inside this configuration file, we are going to mention where this name node file system image and edit logs are going to be written, that we mentioned there. But we are creating that one now because we didn't started this service yet. Before we are starting this HDFS service, we are formatting the name node, so that the fresh file system is going to be fresh file system, I mean FS image. File system on the cluster is different. Okay, that is a physical thing on the respective data nodes. But your name node is going to maintain this entire file system in the form of an image. That is what I have shown you here. And now that is the reason why I went there and I am showing you this one. You see this one here,
So
edit
basically,
log file and your file system image.
so if I understand correctly, so the formatting will remove any existing edit logs or file system images, and
Not only,
everything
no,
will
no, not only
be
that. The entire data present in that, even sometimes what happens, see, this is all in the user space. You need to understand that. We are not doing it at the kernel level. So if you are doing it at the kernel level at the time when you're formatted and when you're trying to set up your OS, all the existing data in the respective directory structures, it is going to thrash and do it. But in the user space, this is all the user space, right? This is not the operating system space. So in the user space, what happens? By any chance, if the past data is going to exist, then it is going to create the problem in the coming. That time we don't have anything, any option left over to take an action. That is the reason why, as a precautionary measure, we are trying to format the name node. We are trying to format the name node in the sense the space that is allocated to the name node. Where we are allocating that space, we are allocating that space in the user space, not at the kernel level, because that is not been formatted by your operating system even. So chances are there that some data may exist, or you might have used that space before to set up the name node. You might have used the same node you might have used right before in setting up the name node. So if you are formatting that one, then all this is going to be thrashed. This entire thing is going to be cleaned, so that no traces of earlier setup or the junk data that is present on the hard drive itself, that also going to be cleaned, so that it is only to ensure. I think you are aware, when you are writing the data, you are going to after finishing off writing the data to the disk, we are going to call the method called flush, to ensure that last leftover bits also going to be written properly to the destination. So writing only, we make sure it is been flushed, but not while reading. While reading, we will not use flush. The same technique even in the real life, friends. When you are locking the door, you are not going to, when you are unlocking the door, you are not going to check twice. You unlock it, again you are going to unlock it. We never do that. Unlock, that's it. But while locking the door, we are going to check second time whether it has been locked properly or not. Same like even here, we are trying to make sure that the existing data present in the folder structure is being cleaned properly, so that there will not be any problem in maintaining your file system images and your edit log files. Make sense?
yes, Srinivas.
So that is the reason why the name node is been formatted, and after it is been formatted, we are going to start your HDFS services. Same like this, your yarn or other services are going to be installed, deployed, and started on your cluster. So don't worry about those things we are going to see very practically using your setup. So to summarize what we have learned in the today's session, let us start from the beginning. What is that from where we started this one? The prerequisites, let it be manual or automated mode. The prerequisites. What are the prerequisites? CentOS and your JDK and JDK, right? JDK 1.7 and higher,
Yep.
and that is needed. And we also need to decide which daemons need to be set up on which node. We need to have that plan, that basic plan at least in the mind. Then we need to make sure your firewall and SC Linux are being taken care. Okay, and date time, date and timestamp should be in sync with your standard thing that is set up on your network, or maybe on the public network. That is up to you. So that on all the hosts, the same timestamp is going to be maintained, so that there will not be any issue in terms of maintaining the information on the timestamp consistently across your cluster. Okay, and we need to have passwordless entry. Make sure that the internet is available to all the nodes. Download your RPM file on every node and install it. Then go to the respective node and try to set up the respective services, because you have already planned that one before. Here itself you have planned. On this particular node you need to set up the name node, and you need to set up your history server, your resource manager. So accordingly you'll be going to the respective nodes and installing the respective services. Hope you are clear with what is being. Once that is only installation has been done, we need to deploy that one. And how you deploy that one? If it is HDFS, we are going to do like this, and we are going to configure the configuration files and create the local directories and give the respective permissions and change the ownerships, so that they are being accessible to your Hadoop services. And finally everything is done. You are going to format your name node only in the case of name node, and your resource manager. Resource manager also no. Only in the case of name node and a secondary name node, we are going to format that and start your HDFS services. So this is what the big picture of your cluster setup in the manual mode. And to certain extent the same steps are involved even to have your fully distributed mode set up in the automated fashion using your Cloudera manager binary. So that we'll be seeing in the next session. So please go through the document and also go through the video once again. If you feel somewhere you are missing, I advise you to go through, so that our next session will be more productive in working with. I think next 2 sessions, because I may not be able to show you everything in one session. No issue. I try to divide our next concept into 2 meaningful parts rather than overloading you, so that it can be dealt in 2 independent sessions. Then it makes more sense, friends. I think you are getting the point now why we have discussed so many things before coming to this level. We have discussed so many things before coming to this level because all those forms the base for our current discussion. If you can go back to our previous sessions and analyze all those things, you come to know clearly why we have discussed all those things before coming to this level. Make sense, friends?